Hello and welcome to New Junction. Now a bit's changed since the last episode. The most obvious is that on the left hand side here I've added not only another DMU line in, but also another platform. I just felt that after having a bit of a play with the station, it needed another storage line, as it were, just to give it a bit more of a practical feel. Since the last episode, all the platforms have come up and they've been planed down and resanded just to make them lower still. I think I had to do that 4 times in the end. But of course the last one I used a proper plane, which really took the mills off. But as you can see, it looks far more acceptable. The left-hand edge of this platform here, the longest one, was quite wonky after I went a bit crazy with the jigsaw, caused a bit of a lump, which you can see in the last episode, but I've tried to smooth that down as much as possible, and now it's ready for its covering, which I'll get on with next. After seeing my last episode, I was contacted by Justin of modelrailwayscenery.com, and he suggested, why don't you try these paper wraps? And it's quite simply a printed sheet which you glue on in stages. So for example, this one is the pavement tops with the tarmac, and then it folds round, and then you put the stone siding on, and then the yellow lines, and I think it looks, hopefully you'll agree, really quite effective. You'll notice one trade-off for having wooden platforms is I don't have station lips, so where the white paving edges is, I've had to leave a bit of the white showing to give the appearance of a station lip, but there isn't actually one. And I hope you'll agree, looks very effective, if not a little rough around the edges on my part. Now, to go from a wooden platform like this to a covered one, it's very easy. You only need 3 products. The main cover for the wooden platform, you choose a platform top. I've used the modern weathered black asphalt platform texture, which I think fits quite well. Once that's on and on the top, you clad the edges, and I've used the English blue brick, which looks very nice. And then of course, once you've done that and that's dry, you can put some fine detail, which comes in the form of these sticky yellow lines. And I think you'll agree that once it's on, it looks very effective. So how do you do it? The first step is preparation. Once you've got your sheets, using a paper cutter like this one, which I find essential and well worth the money if you haven't got one, because you need crisp, clean lines, and I couldn't cut in a straight line with scissors. The first thing is to cut all these out off the A4 sheet, which also leaves you a spare platform end, and that's the first step. So I'm going to get on with that now. Join me in a second when it'll be done. Isn't the power of telly amazing? So that's all done. These have now been cut out, leaving literally a blank sheet with one edge. I've kept the offcuts, which I've done because it wouldn't fit in my cutter, but these come in handy, especially on a curved platform. I'll show you later. And then also you've got the spare edge from the other side of the sheet, which will be added in a bit. So let's show you how to add them. Now, before we get started, you'll need a few things. Now, to stick the actual sheets down, you will need lots of rocket card glue. That works extremely well and extremely quickly. The only downside to using the sort of paper material is while it's wet with the glue before it's stuck, if you have to handle it too much, it will become soggy and spoil. So what I find is you need absolutely loads of kitchen towel, because any excess of the glue has to be tackled straight away. It's also worth noting I'm leaving my screw holes unfilled. This is because eventually I might have to move the platforms on. If I didn't have to, I'd be covering them over, and then covering over them with the tops. As you can see from the other side back here, it doesn't really make a difference, you can't see it, and you can always cover it with station detail. Now how I start from the end here is I've got a pre-cut piece of just the asphalt top with no edges. I'm going to actually stick that a bit to the baseboard and then literally layer it up the platform. This is just so we get a smooth end to the platform. When we're finished, it will look better. Of course, the end of the platform will be defined by ballast or ground scattering, and of course we will add sort of station slabs all the way to the base of the platform towards the end. So here we go. The first step, get some of the glue. Remember this set straight away, so you've not got long. Ooh, a bit too much there. So what's going to happen with this rocket card glue, it's probably going to drip on me. Try not to get it on the platform. Ooh, I did. Stick that down. If you get the first bit tight in and then pull the rest taut, that'll give you a nice flat edge. Don't worry about any wrinkles in the card or the paper too much to begin with, because they will settle as it dries. The important bit is to get the excess of the glue, mind, because that will turn your paper soggy and it might spoil it and you'll have to redo it. There we go. On to the next bit. But as you can see, I've already used this piece of kitchen towel just on the one piece. But that is because I used a bit too much glue there. So, on to the next bit. Now I like to add the platform slabs down the edge, or the slope, towards the end. So with your actual sheets of paper, you start where it's where the platform actually starts. First thing you do, basically you line it up. There you go. So that would be where it would be, the top, and you just nicely fold over the edge. You might have to adjust it as you go. Remember, of course, this is only roughly at this stage because you're not gluing anything. This is also the importance of why you wipe up any card glue, because if you didn't, it would stick and cause you a bit of grief. Once the general overhang is in situ, roughly, if you lightly fold over the other half, what that does is it gives you an indication in the card as to where to cut. So what I will do is I'll cut just on the outside of that line, and then the whole thing will be able to stick nice and neatly to my platform. That piece is now cut down, as you can see, and it'll just sit nicely there and fold over as we glue it. The other half of it will go into the scrap pile, but it'll be saved for later or another time. Right, so as I said before, preparation is key. So I have a bit of kitchen towel ready, because this is quite a messy job, but it's all part of the fun. As you've seen from our previous videos, we all like a good bit of mess. I'm going to glue the top to you, the station edge first, and then halfway up the platform, so when it glues on and rolls in, I can make sure the first half is done, peel it back up and glue the bottom half. So here we go. Nice run on the join, going both sides of the crease, up the edges to about halfway, and then one straight through the middle. That should be enough just to stop you getting any bubbles. Now this bit you've got to be quick, precise, confident, all the things I'm currently not feeling. Size it up, make sure you get the edges. Remember, you sort of generally get one shot at this. You peel it round. As you can see, quite a bit of overspilt. It always looks a messy process, this. So you just grab them dabs of glue just to stop them causing you any havoc. You see, that's the edge folded in, and then as that's drying, I pull up the back end, just add a bit of glue, and across the gap to fall down the other side. Fold that over nicely. Ooh, making sure to get any excess glue off the surface, and then fold it down. Same again, using clean kitchen towel at all times, just to get rid of any excess. Rub out any creases. On the obvious ones, they will settle. There you go. And that's piece one done. So there's a closer look to piece one. You see top down it's folded in. You do get the odd edge which will stick out, but of course you're going to cover that with the brick fronting. So don't worry, the main aim is to get this top surface on nice and neatly. Once we've gone up the platform doing this side with the station edging, we'll then go back with the edges we found. If I just grab one, ooh, arm in the camera. We'll then do the same going the other way, nice and neatly. Easy peasy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that. I want to let you listen to a bit of music while I do it to a montage. On the curved sections, I'm not sure if you can quite see this, I'm not sure if I'm focusing. Just to get around the curves, all you do is use thinner strips of the picture top, and that just gives you the angle that you require. And of course that's smooths it around nicely. It does look a bit lumpy on the paving, but that's how it would be naturally. Only do one layer at a time of this. Don't be tempted to continue. Don't forget that while this paper is soggy, it's extremely easy to rip and tear, and if you tear a bit right in the middle, you'll have to do the section again. So I'm going to let this dry tonight and I'll carry on tomorrow. A bit more progress now. You can see I've put the station edging on the opposite side, leaving another mountain of tissues. All the spare offcuts will go into a pile to save for later. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'm now going to get on with the station brick edging. Same as before, you cut it into strips, and because I've not got a platform overhang, like we see here, if I zoom you in, what I'm going to do is cut them one brick length lower than the white edge, so it gives the impression of a station platform lip. So I'm going to do that now. So very similar to the platform edging strips, you cut the bricks down into just the right height, and then you layer them on, leaving just a little gap, and then you go all the way up. Very easy. And just like that, we have platform edges. Now the ends of the platform I've left overhanging, because what's going to happen here is when the actual sides have dried, I'm going to then fold these over tomorrow and stick them to this top part so it's a nice smooth turn, and then cover them over with some more asphalt card, and then finish them off with the platform edging going down to the ground, like on this one. The next phase is to add the yellow line. Now you'll be glad to know this is much easier because it's a self-adhesive sticky strip, and you can actually stick it on, and then if you get it wrong you can peel it off and do it a couple of times. So that one's much easier, especially after working with all this card. So I'm going to get on with that now, and then I'm going to do the edge tomorrow. The final step, of course, is to give it a bit of protection, to actually paint it in the some matte coat varnish, very light coat. This just protects it against the elements in the loft, and also for ballasting purposes, when you have to wet the ballast, it'll protect the edges then. So as you can see, the yellow lines are now in. Typically I didn't have enough to do the last curve there, but that's easily rectified. Now with this end piece, what I've done is I've just cut the edges off, and I've folded them over, and I've then cut myself down some paving edges, and they'll just stick down on top of there, and it'll neaten up quite nicely. And as if by magic, there we are. I've also tidied up the yellow line at the end there, just so they join up. They'll need a bit of glue, and I've also added some more of the yellow brick, just so it neatens it up and evens it out. The last job, as I've said before, is literally just to go around all the bases with some Humbrol matte coat varnish. That will tone down the sort of brightness of all the brickwork, and also waterproof it against the ballast. I'm literally going to dab it on extremely lightly and just brush it over all the edges. Eventually I will do the tops, but I'll only do the tops when I've got all the yellow lining. So I'm going to get on with that now, and I'll leave it there. So all in all, this has made for a fantastic looking station. Who'd have thought that these were just my scrap bits of plywood? Obviously now this is the foundation laid for my big terminal station, but from standing distance, as you can see, it really looks good. There's a few more bits and bobs that need doing, but no, I'm really chuffed with this. One thing I did forget to mention is once you've coated it in the varnish, that will provide a key to some weathering. So if you have any weathering powders or whatnot, you can also weather the card up and things like that. So once again, a big thank you to Justin at scalemodelscenary.co.uk. Link for all these bits will be in the description below. It's definitely much better than painting, and I suppose it keeps within my trying to be a bit more hands-on this side of the layout while looking rather professional. So I'm chuffed with this. Who'd have thought this was some scrap plywood a couple of months ago? But anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.